Yashodanandana Sanjanaranjana Yashodanandana Sanjanaranjana Aminatira Chari Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Sisiman A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Mantikoti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Gaura Sri Krishna Chaitanya Bhavatananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Yamuna Mayi Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Gorpimanandi Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 18, Parikshit cursed by a Brahmin boy. Text 22. Yatra anuraktaha sahasa eva tirha vipohya deha adishu sangam udham Vajanti tat paramahansyam antyam yasmin ahimsa upashamaha sudharmaha yatra anurakta sahasaiva dhira Vyapoya deheshu, Vyapoya dehashu, Sangam udham. Vajanti tat paramahansyam antyam, Yasmin aham sopashama swadharma. Yatra nurakta sahasaiva dhira. Yapo yadehadishu sangamudham. Bhajanti tat paramahansyam. Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma. Yatra nirakta sahasaiva dhira. Vyapohya dehadishu sangamudham. Vajanti tat paramahansyam antyam. Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma.
Yatranura sahasaiva dhira Vyapo yadehadishu sangamudam Rajanti tat paramahansyam Yasmin hingso pashama swadharmaha
Sranurakta sahasaiva dhira Yapoya dehadishu sangamudham Rajanti tat paramahamsyamantyam Yasminaham sopasamasvadharmaha
Yatra nirakta sahasaiva dhira Yapo hyadehadishu sangamudham Vrajanti tat paramahansyam Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharmaha
Yatra nurakta sahasaiva dhira Vyapo yadehadishu sangamudham Vrajanti tat paramahansyam Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharmaha Yatra nurakta sahasaiva dhira Vyapo yadehadishu sangamudham Vajanti tat paramaham samantyam Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharmaha Yatra nurakta sahasaiva dhira Vyapo yadehadishu sangam udham Rajanti tat paramahamsyam antam Yasmin ahimso Pashama Swadharma.
Yattanurakta sahasa sadira Vyapoya deha susanga udam Vajanti tat parama hamsyam antyam Yasmin aham sopasaya sadharmaha
Yachanurkatta sahaseva dhira Vyapoya dehadishu sangamudam Vajanti tat paramhamsam atyam Yasmin ahimso parashma svatarma
Yatra nurakta sahasaiva dhira Vyapo yadeha dishu sangamudam Vrajanti tat paramahang samantyam Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma
Yatra nurakta sahasaiva dhira Vyapo yadehadishu sangamudham Vrajanti tat paramahamsamantyam Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma
Yatra nurakta sahasaiva dhira Yapo yadeha dishu sangamudam Vrajanti tat paramahang samantyam Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharmaha
Yatra nurakta sahasavadira Vapuya dehasu sangam udham Vrajanti tat paramaham samadam Yasmin ahimso pasyamha swadharma
Yatra nurakta sahasaiva dhira Vyapo yadehadishu sangaudham Vrajanti tat paramahamsyamantyam Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharmaha
Yachanurakta sahasaiva dira Vyapo yadehadishu sangam udham Rajanti tat paramahamsyamancham Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma Yatra anukta sahisa sadhira Vyapo hadeshu sangamudha Sangam Vajanti tatma parahamsayaham Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma Yatra anurakta saiva saiva deva Vyapo yadehadeshu sangamudham Rajanti tat paramaham shamantyam Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma Yatra anur tarakta sahisva adhira Vyapuyate adisho sangamudam Rajanti tat paramahamsyam antya Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma
Thank you. Yata, unto whom? Anurakta, firmly attached. Sahasa, all of a sudden. Eva, certainly. Tiraha, self-controlled. Vyapohya, leaving aside. Deha, the gross body and subtle mind. Adishu, relating to. Sangam, attachment. Udham, taken to. Prajanti, go away. Tat, that. Paramahansyam, the highest stage of perfection. Antyam, and beyond that. Yasmin, in which. Ahimsa, non-violence. Apushamaha, and renunciation. Sudharmaha, consequential occupation. Purport?
Translation: self-controlled persons who are attached to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind, and go away to attain the highest perfection of the renounced order of life, by which non-violence and renunciation are consequential. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Only the self-controlled can gradually be attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Self-controlled means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than is necessary, and those who are not self-controlled are given over to sense enjoyment. Dry philosophical speculation is a subtle sense enjoyment of the mind. Sense enjoyment leads one to the path of darkness. Those who are self-controlled can make progress on the path of liberation from the conditional life of material existence. The Vedas therefore enjoin that one should not go on the path of darkness, but should make a progressive march towards the path of light or liberation. Self-control is actually achieved not by artificially stopping the senses from material enjoyment, but by becoming factually attached to the Supreme Lord by engaging one's unalloyed senses in the transcendental service of the Lord. The senses cannot be forcibly curbed, but they can be given proper engagement. Purified senses, therefore, are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. This perfectional stage of sense enjoyment is called Bhakti Yoga. So those who are attached to the means of Bhakti Yoga are factually self-controlled and can all of a sudden give up their homely or bodily attachment for the service of the Lord. This is called the Paramahansa stage. Hangsas, or swans, accept only milk out of a mixture of milk and water. Similarly, those who accept the service of the Lord instead of Maya service are called the Paramahansas. They are naturally qualified with all the good attributes such as pridelessness, freedom from vanity, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, respectability, worship, devotion, and sincerity. All these godly qualities exist in the devotee of the Lord spontaneously. Such Paramahansas, who are completely given up to the service of the Lord, are very rare. They are very rare even amongst the liberated souls. Real nonviolence means freedom from envy. In this world, everyone is envious of his fellow being. But a perfect Paramahansa, being completely given up to the service of the Lord, is perfectly non-envious. He loves every living being in relation with the Supreme Lord. Real renunciation means perfect dependence on God. Every living being is dependent on someone else because he is so made. Actually, everyone is dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord, but when one forgets his relation with the Lord, he becomes dependent on the conditions of material nature. Continue. Renunciation means renouncing one's dependence on the conditions of material nature and thus becoming completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Real independence means complete faith in the mercy of the Lord without dependence on the conditions of matter. This Paramahansa stage is the highest perfectional stage in Bhakti Yoga, the process of devotional service to the Supreme Lord.
Yachanurukta sasaivadhira vyapohya dehadishu udham prajantitat paramahangsyam antyam yasmin ahimsopashama swadharma. The first point Prabhupada makes in this purport is pointing out the word dhira. The real meaning of dhira, self-controlled, means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than necessary. Certain amount of sense enjoyment is required, just like eating. If one wants to renounce all sense enjoyment, then he would have to give up eating, because eating is also sense enjoyment. Drinking water is sense enjoyment. Evacuating when the time comes is sense enjoyment. So if someone is going to try to give up all sense enjoyment, it's not possible. Therefore, it's possible to give up more than necessary. Sex life is also required sense enjoyment. It's concomitant with the activity. Sense enjoyment is is included. So it's not that one must give up all sex life. He must give up all unnecessary sex life. Sex life for producing children in a divine way is part of spiritual life, is part of the Bhakti Yoga system, as explained in Bhagavad Gita. So eating, sleeping, mating, defending, they must be continued. Yukta hari harasya, yukta swapna vibodasya, yogo bhagavati dukkha. But one must be moderate, yukta, controlled in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Then there's no harm. Then he's living in the world, but he's not becoming influenced by Maya. Can't stop all activities. It's not possible. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, no one can stop acting even for a moment. If one is asleep, it means he's stopped acting. No. Breathing is still going on. Dreaming is still subtle. Dreaming is going on. Blood is circulating. Bodily activities. He's sleeping, then his physical activities are less active, but still he's acting. Sometimes the impersonalists think that the goal of life is to become still and silent. But as Prabhupada once told some ladies who said that was the goal of their meditation, they had been meditating for 20 or 30 years. He said, what is the goal of it? Is it to become silent? Prabhupada said, stones also become silent for millions of years. So that goal is not impressive, because stones are also silent. The real impressive achievement of meditation is that one develops love for God, for the Lord. That's not being spoken of generally in our present types of yoga systems, yoga practice that people are trying to do. Love of God is generally not mentioned as a goal or the goal. It has something else, something for sense gratification. Even speculation on the impersonal absolute is a form of sense gratification. Why? Because he's denying Krishna. How can you deny Krishna? Bhagavad Gita. How can you avoid Bhagavad Gita or all the Vedas, which ultimately lead Vedascha sarvaraham eva vedyo vedanta krid veda vedeva chaham? Krishna says, I'm the ultimate goal of all the Vedas. So if someone avoids that goal, he's envy. He wants to be glorified. He doesn't want to glorify. He doesn't want to surrender to anyone. He's thinking, I'm also God. That's imagination. We're not equal in all respects with God. But we can become we are already one with God in quality, but not in quantity. The drop of water has the same constitution as the entire ocean, but being small, the drop of water cannot accommodate all the things the big ocean can accommodate. So that much one must admit and one must understand. Otherwise, he's trying to avoid. Someone says, why are you, I was chanting one time at a yoga, kind of a demonstration they were having. And so the person said, why are you chanting Krishna's name? You can chant your own name. Same. It's not the same. It's not the same effect chanting anyone else's name. Chanting Krishna's name is unique. And that's why the Paramahamsas, Parama means supreme or great, the great swan, Paramahamsa. Hamsa means swan, and the swans can separate milk from a milk and water solution. So Paramahamsa means one who takes out the essence of everything. And that essence is Krishna. Krishna is the essence of everything. He's the taste of water. What's the essence of water? Taste. It's the essence of the earth. Fragrance. So Krishna has to be the goal of every activity. That's Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the highest yoga because Krishna says so. Yoginam api sarvesham magyatein antaratmana shradhavam bhajate yogam samayuktamomata. It's the highest of all yogas. Krishna explained some of the yogas, he presented them. Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Jnana yoga, Bhakti yoga. All the yogas, Krishna. Bhaktyamam vijanati yavanyas chasmitasta. Only through devotional service can I be understood. The other paths, one will not come to the point of Krishna directly. He'll come up short. Through karma, he gets only sense gratification. Like the heavenly King Indra, they want to enjoy like Indra, or like the Apsaras, very beautiful, to be relished, to be attractive to all others. That's as far as they can go with karma yoga. Then Jnana yoga, they go further, they realize that the material sense pleasures are binding. One becomes bound up even after he has to give up the body, has to take another body, according to his karma, and there's pitfalls. So they realize that, and they give up that. But then they think they're impersonal, they have no individual existence, and they try to merge into the oneness of the Brahman. Or, as Buddhism is similar, to become void, to not exist, nirvana, they give it their own interpretation. This is also impossible. There's no question of someone who's existing, not existing. There's no death for the soul. And there's no complete oneness, giving up one's individuality. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you, me, and all these kings, we all existed in the past. We're existing now as separate living entities, and will exist always in the future. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of this cease to be. We need that Bhaktivedanta purport. Without that purport, it's very difficult to understand, because the impersonals, how will they understand that? I'll have to speculate something. And that something will deny Krishna's words that he's speaking as it is. So only the Paramahamsas, Bhakti Yogis, perfect Bhakti Yogis, can give interpretations or to explain the Vedas. Otherwise, the impersonalists, they're not qualified to give comments on the Vedic literature. So Bhakti Yoga is, Prabhupada calls it here, the ultimate sense gratification. Perfect sense gratification. Someone say, Bhakti Yoga, sense gratification. Yeah, the perfectional stage of sense engagement. They have their own idea of what the perfectional stage of sense enjoyment and engagement is. And they don't include Bhakti Yoga as it. But this is the shocking thing that happened when Srila Prabhupada came and began presenting Bhakti Yoga, engaging Westerners in Bhakti Yoga. They suddenly became uninterested, unattached to all the things of this world. And it was shocking to them and to their relatives. How is it possible? When Prabhupada brought his disciples back to India, they were shocked. How is it possible? They've given up the opulence of America, a rich country, rich families, all kinds of conveniences and sense gratification. They didn't care for it anymore. How is that? Yeah, and that's the Paramahamsa stage. Prabhupada would often say that sannyasa is not just the formal acceptance of the sannyasa ashram. Sometimes devotees would ask Prabhupada, can they take sannyas? He'd say, actually, because you're always engaged in devotional service, you're already sannyas. There's no need. Sometimes, for preaching purposes, it may be accepted, but otherwise it's not required. If one is a householder, self-controlled, he's also Paramahamsa. Paramahamsas, in the formal sense, give up even the saffron dress. They wear white. Chakva sudharmam jaranam bhajam harabhajana pakva tapatet soji. Chakcha turnam shesha mandalapati shrenim sadatu chivat. They give up all things of this material and they wear loincloths. So, some people imitate that. They put the cloth on, but they're not ready to live like Rupa Goswami, leader of the Goswamis. Our sannyas, they accept saffron cloth and keeping themselves, in a sense, below the Paramahamsa stage, not declaring themselves on the Paramahamsa stage. There are 4 divisions of sannyas. First one, Hurichak. He's living outside home. He has to go away from home, but he's still receiving foodstuffs from home. Beginning stage. Bahudak, he's accepting the occupation of he just takes a little from each house, a little alms. He doesn't take his big meal he doesn't take too much. He still begs in the community for his livelihood, for his food, but he only accepts a little bit. And Parvajakacharya, now he leaves no more he's not in his village, he's not in his home, he's out. And he's preaching. Parvajakacharya. And Paramahansa's stage, he can stay anywhere. He can travel, he can preach, he can stay in one place and be fully engaged in devotional service. And so sometimes among the Paramahansas, there are the Gosaranandi and Bhajanandi. Bhajanandis are those who are doing their own private bhajan, worship of the Lord. They don't take disciples. They're not interested in taking disciples. They don't think themselves qualified. It's like when you've seen in the videos maybe, when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at that time, he was Siddhanta. He was famous. Even then, as a great scholar, in his early life, he was very qualified in understanding the cosmology and studying the Surya Siddhanta and all these astronomical texts. He was great in that. In fact, he was the greatest in that field. He was the most qualified in the world and recognized even by the British. So, but he gave that up. But he had the title, Siddhanta. He was given that. So he was a famous learned person, and his guru, his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, intimated to him that he should go and take initiation from Gaura Das Babaji, because he had approached his father first. His father was the most famous bhakti yogi, Vaishnava of the time. So, and he had studied under his father for a long time. He assisted his father in his publishing of books, everything. And he was very qualified. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a householder at the time. So he chose not to accept his son as a formal disciple, but he intimated that he should go to Gaura Das Babaji. So Bhaktisiddhanta went there. Bimala Prasad was his family birth name. He went and humbly approached Gaura Das Babaji. Please accept me as your disciple. And Gaura Das Babaji, I'm not qualified. I'm not interested in disciples. Find someone else. So Bhaktisiddhanta, he reported back to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He said he's not taking disciples. He has no disciples. And Then he came, Dr. Vinod Thakur said, no, you have to go. You have to convince him that you want to be his disciple. So he went back and they had more discussion. Gorky Shore, that's what he said. You're a great learned scholar. I can't even write my name. How can I be your spiritual master? It's a joke. Now, he said so many things. And Bhaktisiddhanta said, no, I'm sincerely. And Gorky Shore Das Babaji said, I'll think about it. Give me some time. See what Krishna says. Anyway, he came back third time and he denied him again. He said, no, it's not possible. So Bhaktisiddhanta realized that his father wanted him to do this, and that he also realized that he needed to have the shelter of such a spiritual master, Paramahansa. So he said, please, there's no use in my living if not. Then he convinced Gorky Shore Das Babaji that he wanted to give up the so-called, he thought, false prestige of being a scholar and being advanced and intelligent. He had to give all that up. And he wanted to give all that up. And he was ready to do it. And accept Gorky Shore Das Babaji, who was illiterate, as his spiritual master, because he realized that any learning that doesn't come through the disciplic succession of the spiritual masters is not necessarily conclusive. So this is the way to get conclusive knowledge. Mahajano yena gata sapanta. This is the way to get mantra. Sampradaya vihina ye mantrastam nishpala mataha. Unless one gets the mantra, whatever mantra, unless he gets his mantra through the disciplic succession, it bears no fruit. So Gorky Shore Das Babaji accepted him, and him only. No more other disciples, just him. And so that's Paramahansa stage. And no conventions for him. He doesn't need any conventions because he's absorbed in devotional service wherever he is, one place. The point is that the Vaishnavas, the Bhakti Yogis, they automatically have good qualities. They display them. Good qualities like freedom from envy, nonviolence, full dependence on God, freedom from vanity, pridelessness, tolerance, simplicity, respectability, worship, devotion, sincerity. These are the good qualities that naturally become manifest in a bhakti yogi. So this is good qualities. That's how you can tell a bhakti yogi. You can see he's got these qualities. So he's Paramahansa, fully engaged in the service of the Lord. This is the idea. Rather than stressing renunciation, One, in the Bhakti Yoga system, the stress is more on becoming attached to Krishna. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, in one of his, he wrote some stotras in praise of Lord Chaitanya, said, Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Shiksharta Eka Purusha Purana, etc. That Lord Chaitanya's process was simultaneously renunciation and knowledge. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam. Vairagya means renunciation of unnecessary sense gratification, and Vidya, transcendental knowledge. This is the process of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Bhakti Yoga automatically brings that. Automatically brings renunciation from the world, or detachment, and transcendental knowledge. It's not that the Bhakti Yogis are not interested in Vedic knowledge. They also are very interested in Vedic knowledge. They study. Sometimes they're criticized because there was some, during the time of, not too long ago, but some time ago, there was a criticism that the Vaishnavas, Gaudiya Sampradaya doesn't have commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, and therefore it's not bona fide. So, what are the names here? Yeah, the name is not here. Baladev Bijabhushan. He was selected to go and write a commentary on the Bhagavatam. Although there was no need, actually, because the Vaishnavas, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they accept that Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. That's why there was no need. But anyway, he gave one, Govinda Bhashya. And so it was highly philosophical and it was accepted. So Gaudiya Vaishnava is not without philosophy. When Lord Chaitanya was challenged by the impersonalists, Prakasananda Saraswati was an impersonalist sannyasi at Kashi, and they challenged, why don't you study Vedanta? And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was the leading logician of his time, impersonalism. He spoke for 7 days to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who agreed to listen. And he said, you don't understand anything? You don't ask any questions, 7 days? You just listen. You don't understand Vedanta? He says, I understand Vedanta, but what you're presenting is clouding Vedanta. And then he explained the real understanding of Vedanta. Vedanta, the ultimate end of Veda knowledge. What is the ultimate end? You can't leave Krishna out. He says, I'm the source of the Brahman effulgence. I'm the basis. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. So you can't, if you come to a conclusion that is not Krishna, then you haven't come to the conclusion yet. Because he's the basis of everything. The 4 seed verses of the Bhagavatam. He says, before the creation I existed, now I'm existing, and after the creation is wound up, I will continue to exist. So are there any questions?
well, we were speaking about impersonalism, and I kind of had a question regarding this. So when should, a little later in the Bhagavatam, it talks about the universal form, and it says that neophytes should think of this form because I can't remember exactly why, but it was said that we're supposed to focus on this form. So I was just wondering, like, if this universal form is considered impersonal, should we think of this, or should we think of the personal form of Krishna, or what is the right way to go about this?
We can think of the impersonal form or the Lord's direct form, as Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna saw the universal form, and he offered prayers. You are the greatest, all the demons and the devotees praise your name. He remained a bhakti yogi when he saw it. And then when the four-handed form was revealed, he remained a bhakti yogi. So the devotee, he can, whatever he's seeing, even if he's seeing something material, he remembers Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, he's always seeing his worshipful Lord, even when he sees material things. He knows this tree is not separate from Krishna. This tree is Krishna's tree. So that's how he sees everything. It's relationship with Krishna. Therefore, he's not envious of all living entities, because he sees every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna. So he has love. If he loves Krishna, if you love your father, then you have to love his legs, you have to love his, you can't say, I cut your legs, I love you, don't worry. No, that's part and parcel also. So real independence is found by giving up being dependent upon Maya, the material energy. Doesn't mean not doing anything or trying to exist independently from Krishna. No, he's always dependent on Krishna. Every devotee, no devotee will say, I'm independent from Krishna. No bhakti yogi. Anyone who's trying to be independent from Krishna, that's not possible. Because everyone's dependent. Brahma is dependent. The demons are trying to be they say they don't need Vishnu. But that means they don't understand how Vishnu's supplying, even them, the words, the intelligence they have that they use to criticize him, to blaspheme him, is coming from Vishnu. So when one has transcendental knowledge, then he gives up his inimical mood towards the Lord, his envious mood, and is willing then to take the position of servant. Any other questions?
It seems that my attachment to sense gratification is limiting my ability to do more preaching work. So the devotees say that I should be attached to spreading this message, but actually I don't have that attachment, so I'd like to learn about how to get...
I don't have detachment or attachment?
I don't have... I feel like I'm unproductive in my preaching endeavors.
And you want to know how to get free from sense gratification.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Hodit. It happens naturally. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Hodit. Janayat Yasu Vairagyam Jnanam Chalyara Hoitakam. By devotional service, naturally detachment and transcendental knowledge come. So you have to continue. We cannot demand that we want to reach the highest stage at this moment. We have to wait for Krishna's mercy to come and go on serving and trying to improve and begging for his mercy to help me advance and become more interested in him, more attracted to him. Srila Rupa Goswami gave a very nice example, which as a young devotee, I took a lot of encouragement from that, and I think everyone can appreciate. He gave the example, he says, "My Lord, I know that young boys have natural attraction for young girls, and young girls have natural attraction for young boys. I want to have the same type of spontaneous attraction to you." So that is a bona fide way of preaching. We all know what a boy and girl, young men, they don't need any introduction. There's attraction. So he's praying, I want to have that same spontaneous attraction for you. That's actually the real attractive force. If we're attracted to the male-females, that attraction, that means our hearts are not purified yet. We're becoming attracted to something other than the real. We have to keep cleaning the heart through chanting, through service. As the heart gets more clean, then the real attraction, all the corrosion from the heart will be removed, then we'll be able to be attracted to Krishna spontaneously, not immediately. But we go on practicing. Practice. At the practice stage, sadhana bhakti, one doesn't have spontaneous attraction. Raga stage, that's the next higher stage. So, ruchi, taste, one gets up early. Naturally, he wants to get up early. There's some taste. Before that, one may get up early out of duty, because the spiritual master orders or whatever. But spontaneously, later on, one wants to do all these services. He doesn't just do them out of duty. He enjoys them also. For example, someone may go on Harinam. In the early stages, he's always looking at the clock. What time are we going back for prasadam? I know I was doing that, counting the minutes, 40 more. I had that clock, I knew exactly how much to turn my head, I could see the clock. So that's not, my chanting was not very attentive, but then later on I became a little attached to chanting. Sometimes I forgot what time it was. Not often, but. Any other question?
You were talking about how Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had to show that he was sincere to surrender to Gorakishore Das Babaji, and I was wondering if that's something that we continually do, show that like sincerity to surrender, and if so, how do we do that?
Well, Prabhupada's strong point on this is when one makes vows at initiation, he has to keep it. That's the sign of sincerity. make vows before the deity, before the guru, before the Vaishnavas. Therefore, you have to keep these vows. That's the proof of one's sincerity. So that's a great task. 16 rounds, 4 principles. Then that is, in itself, that is a very great sign of sincerity. Yes.
Why is bhakti yoga the highest form of yoga?
We said, because it leads to the highest realization. Krishna says it's the highest, the topmost yoga. That verse I quoted, Yogi Nama Pisa. Out of all the yogis, one who's engaged in my pure devotion, he's the topmost yogi. So this is Krishna's conclusion. It's not a question of democratic vote. We don't take votes and see what's the top. Krishna says this is the topmost yoga system. Only by devotional service can I be understood. That's bhakti yoga. That's devotional service. Karma yoga can be taken as part of the bhakti yoga system. Just like the yoga ladder. One is going up the ladder, he's on up the stairs, he's on this floor, that floor. But the ultimate floor is, in other words, to reach that love of God, prema, that has to be through bhakti yoga. There's no other way. Because who will they love? If everything's one, then who am I to love anything? And they don't accept the form of Krishna as reality. It's just illusion, it's just Maya. So how can there be any love? The impersonal, how can they love God, love Krishna? They don't accept his form. They say, Nirakar, he has no form. But in the Vedas, when the statements are there in the Upanishads, seem to indicate that God has no form. It means he has no material form. He has no hands, but he can collect everything that's offered to him. He has no legs, but he can overcome all others running. So they like that, enigmatic, I can't figure, mystical, has no features. But no, the Vaishnava, like in the Ishopanishad, it says, Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi tammukam tattvam pusham vipavanu satya dharma adriste. He's asking the Lord to remove his effulgence so he can kindly see his real form of bliss. That's the bhakti yogi. So he understands. That's the highest realization. That I'm one with the Lord in quality, but not quantity. Yes?
Guru Maharaj, in this text, devotional service is mentioned, the devotional service process. And then we've read over the weekend about pure love for Krishna, which is the ultimate goal of life. And so, from what I've been reading, the term devotional service and pure devotional service and love and pure love for Krishna has been used interchangeably. So I was wondering, how do we define or describe pure, and how do we know that that's what we're doing? Because, in my instance, I'm not, a brahmachari living in a temple. I have a normal working life and so on. How do we know that we're getting there?
Well, pure devotional service can be used in different connections. The general term that Prabhupada used for pure devotee is he's 100% engaged in devotional service. That doesn't mean he gives up his occupation. That's Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna wanted to give up his occupation to go off in the forest or do some other kind of service. Krishna wouldn't accept it. No, do your duty, but do it for me. Always think of me. But do your duty, but always think of me. Perform your occupation. He never said you have to give up your occupation. So, if your occupation is to be a warrior, then be a warrior for Krishna. Be a doctor for Krishna. And how does one be a doctor for Krishna? He uses everything that he has. Manasa deha geho jokachumor abhilutuate pare nandikishore. Everything he uses as an offering for Krishna. Even his family, even his home. You go to his home, you'll see how his home is Krishna conscious. If you go to the home of a bhakti yogi, you'll see Krishna is the master of the home. The so-called master, he doesn't take the position of master now. He's earning the money, but he realizes whose money it is and how the money should be spent. All the food goes to Krishna. The non-devotees, they object. Why you give everything to Krishna? You give everything to Krishna, but everything belongs to him. You give it to him, then he gives it back to you to utilize in a way that purifies you. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna. We're actually going to read the Sankirtan scores now, and then we'll have Guru Puja.
Do you have the sweets?
Yes.
Oh, you have them.
Yes,
the other ones.
Huh? We have the sweets here.
There's another one up there that was given specifically by and prepared by, what is Damodar's wife's name? Drita Gopika?
Priti Gopika?
Yeah. Driti Gopika. She specifically made these for the Sankirtan results, she said.
Here, you can sit. I can stand them. Oh.
So we have to use those.
Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll read the scores.
You can bring them here.
For this week of November 21st, we had 14 book distributors. And we'll read the scores for the pleasure of the assembled devotees. Srila Prabhupada, the Guru Parampara, Tulsi Maharani, and Sri Sri Gauranitai. So in 14th position, with one medium book for a total of 0.5 book points, Jivadaya Prabhu.
I'll have to save it for him. Thanks.
In 13th position, with two big books for a total of 2 points, Jai Keshava Prabhu. In 12th position, with two medium books and two big books for a total of 3 book points, Bhaktivinoda Prabhu. In...
Name. That was your name.
I mixed up these two positions, sorry. Actually in 12th is with one medium book and one Maha big book for a total of 2.5 book points, Radhastali Devidasi. So that was 11th and 12th position. In 10th position with 3 small books and one Maha big book for a total of 2.75 book points, Bhakti Damodar. Sorry, I counted the number of people wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so in 8th position, with 3 big books and 1 Maha big book for a total of 5 book points, Krishna Bhagavan Prabhu. In 7th position with 3 small books, 3 big books, and 2 Maha big books for 7.75 book points, Rishi Kumar Das. In 6th position with 6 small books, 3 medium books, 3 big books, and 2 Maha big books for a total of 10 book points, Mathuranath Prabhu. In 5th position with 3 big books, 4 Maha big books for a total of 13 book points, Damodar Prabhu. Not Bhakti Damodar, but Damodar Das. In 4th position with 2 small books and 7 Maha big books for a total of 14.5 book points, Bhakti Adeline. In 3rd position with 8 small books, 5 medium books, 5 big books, and 5 Maha big books for a total of 19.5 book points, Magadari Prabhu. In 2nd position with 11 small books, 7 medium books, 11 big books, and 7 Maha big books for a total of 31.75 book points, Bhakti Jio. And in 1st position with 197 small books, 127 big books, and 109 Maha big books for 394.25 book points, Bhakti Avatar Prabhu. And that the total for this week is 233 small books, 22 medium books, 161 big books, and 139 Maha big books for a total of 510 book points.
Haribo.
Bhakti Avatar, would you share a highlight with us?
Right. Bhakti Avatar. Here, take this. Come on, more. One more.
Hare Krishna. This was on Friday. It was a really freezing cold day, and it was the Friday, so they're really slow, but we were at Missouri State University and just sitting at this table, and this really tall, black-bodied gentleman comes over, and he just says, "Hey man, I'm a hooper, bro. Like, I'm really like getting stressed out sometimes when I lose games. Like, you got anything for me for that?" And I was like,
He's a
yeah.
what?
He played basketball, but it's
hooper.
like a slang word. I play hooper. I'm a hooper.
Hooper.
And he wanted some meditation so he didn't get so elated with happiness and distress with his basketball game. So he took a Bhagavad Gita and a Science of Self-Realization. So I thought that was pretty nice. Haribol.
So this was, I can't remember what day it was, but we went, it was a big party of us went to different stores, and me and Bhakti went to a Walmart. And we saw this guy. At first I was like, I don't know if he'll take any books, but Bhakti was really encouraging. He said, just try it out. And I went up to him and I started talking to him. Said I liked his outfit and that he looked like a skater. And then, yeah, little by little, we just got to talking more about the books and things like that. And I kept on, you know, giving him small little compliments. And Yeah, it was funny. I don't know if he was with his dad or with a friend or something, but I asked him for a donation. It was like a Maha stack, but I asked him for a donation, and his friend or his dad like immediately pulled out a 20, and then the guy pulled out like a few more dollars, and yeah, it was really interesting because I wasn't even talking to the guy next to the person I was talking to, but he immediately just like he was so open to the book, so that was nice. Thank you.
Sankirtana ki jai.
Magadari Prabhu.
So we went out a few days ago for doing a few books, and we went to the Home Depot, which is always a fun place to just do book distribution. And it was very cold. And I met a lot of people there who had known about us. One reverend had come to our temple, and some other people had come to our temple. And I met these two gentlemen from Mexico, and they said, "Oh yeah, I know, Hare Krishna." And he was really favorable. He really liked Hare Krishna, whatever he had known, but he didn't have our books. And I asked him, I said, "You should take these books, you should support us." And he said yes, and then he started convincing his friend. He said, "Yeah, man, you need these books. They're going to help you so much." And then he also gave a donation, so that was a very nice book distribution.
Sankirtana yajna ki jai.
Maturnath Prabhu.
So I was with Magadari at Home Depot. We went together on that cold day, and I had the chance to appreciate Magadari's sincere effort there, because it was totally freezing out, and I said, "I'm going to go in the store. What's your plan?" And he said, "Oh, I'm going to do the parking lot." And I went in the store for maybe about an hour, and I got an early donation that was pretty big. It was like the first person I talked to, he gave 30. So everyone I was talking to, I was kind of able to give a small book if they didn't take. So that was kind of nice. But I ran into a man who was very favorable. He said, oh, this is great. This is one of the holy books that I don't have. He said, I'll put it next to my Bible and my Kabbalah and my Torah. And like that, he just named off a bunch of different holy books. And he said, actually, do you guys have a center in the area? I'd be interested in coming maybe. And I gave him the card, and he said, okay, I'm going to give you my card. This isn't for your personal use, but you might know somebody. And he told me he was a bail bondsman. And he gave me the card, and he said, if more people read these holy books, then I won't have to bail them out of jail. So I thought that was pretty funny. Thank you.
Abel. My highlight for the week was me and Bhakta Damodar went to Lowe's, and right when we walked in, this guy gave us a funny look, and he said, "Where do I know you from?" And we asked him we just started talking with him, and saying that he also looked familiar, and we said, "Did we give you one of our books?" And he said, "I don't know, what do you got?" And so he came over and started looking at the books, and he was a real fun person, and he took a couple of the books, and I think he gave like $10 or so, and he's a nice guy. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Bhakti Adeline, do you have a highlight?
She Sweet here.
Hare Krishna. So it was my first time distributing a book, and I was standing outside this one store probably for about an hour. I didn't think anyone was going to take, so I went back in my car. Okay. And I went back in my car, and a car pulled up next to me, and I kind of had this feeling that they might take a book. There was this two guys in their car. So I got out of my car, and I kind of knocked on their window, and they opened the window, and I handed them the Bhagavad Gita. And they took it, and they got really excited about it, and they donated $20. So it was really nice.
Krishna Bhagavan Prabhu. Jesus.
Hare Krishna. So Jai Keshava and I on Wednesday went to Whole Foods and Sun Fresh Market to distribute some books for Vyasa Puja. And there was this one couple in Whole Foods. The lady, they were young. The lady, they had a 2-year-old child there too, and they were just right by the produce section. And I had a cart, and Jai Kesha was near me, and I just walked adjacent to them, and I said, "Wow, you guys! I like your crystal. You guys look like a spiritual couple." And then they both smiled. And then I nervously handed them some books because I was really nervous. And I was talking to them about the books, and I was really nervous. And the guy was just staring at me very gravely. And I felt like he was reading my mind the whole time and thinking about how nervous I was. And then but the lady was just, "Oh, wow, okay, yeah, sure. This is nice." And I handed her SSR and Bhagavad Gita. And then I asked for a donation, and, they both kind of looked at each other. And I was like, "Oh man, I hope he doesn't say something." And then she was just like, "Yeah, I can give you a donation." And she pulled out a $5 donation and gave it to me. And I said, "Thank you." And I told her about the temple, gave them a card, and they were interested to come check it out here. Sankirtan Yagya Ki
Jai. Bhaktivinoda Prabhu.
Haribol. Me and Bhaktajio, we went to Walmart. We split up. Rishi Prabhu and Bhakti Damodar went to Lowe's when we went to Walmart. And we walked up to this one lady. She seemed really relaxed. She was sitting back. She was in the car section. Looked like she might have been waiting on something. And I think she was reading something, maybe a magazine or something like that. And so we came up, we said, "Hi, do you like to read?" And she's like, "Yeah, I like to read, And I was like, "Here, we're sharing these books with everyone." And she looked at the book. She was like, "Oh," she's like, "I feel like this might answer a lot of my questions. Looks like a nice book." I was like, yeah, we're sharing them with everyone. Just talks about meditation, and give a little less stress, a little more bliss. And she's like, "Oh, this is really nice." She just kept flipping through the pages. And I was like, "Yeah, we print them ourselves, so there's no cost. We do just ask a donation to help the process." And she was like, "Well, I don't have any money, but I'd really like the book." She was expressing, some interest. I didn't really know what to do at the time because they weren't my books. I didn't know how to, So I was like, well, can I trade you a smaller book? She was like, okay. And then we didn't have any smaller books. So I gave her the mantra. She chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and she had the little pamphlet. And then she was like, well, I'd really like the other book. It was kind of quiet and it wasn't registering. So I had gotten the book back and like walked away, and we were walking away with the book. And I said, Bhakti Gio, said, should we give her the book? It's like, it felt weird not giving her the book. So we turn around, we go, Bhakti Gio's like, ma'am, this is your book. This belongs to you. And she was like, so happy. And she reached into her pocket and gave some Lakshmi for the book. And it was meant to be.
Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Bhakti Damodar Prabhu.
Haribo. So for Vyasapuj, Rishi and I went to the Lowe's and we got kicked out, so we went to the stores that were around there, just like the strips, and we went to IHOP and we were in Chipotle, and there was like, we were trying to talk to people, and there was like a mom and her son in line, and they looked spiritual, so I approached them and I just said, I just showed him the books, here. Here's the Bhagavad Gita, and the son was like, yeah, I'll take it. It's really easy and quick, and he gave us like 15. So,
What did you? Oh, very nice.
Radha Stali Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna. So it's really nice to meet new devotees, or people that come to the temple and they say like, oh yeah, I saw the devotees singing at the park like a year ago, and now they told me to come to the temple, and I've been meaning to come, and now I'm here. So I've met like so many, especially ladies who like have experienced this. And 2 ladies especially have been coming, and they were the ladies that I distributed books to. One of them, she said that when she was 10 years old, she was walking in Loose Park with her mom and walked by the devotees, and she's like, why do they all look the same? And why do they keep repeating the same thing? And now she's like, older, and she's just like, is so happy to like learn more about what was really going on, and that she could also practice the same thing. The other lady, she's been coming around asking so many questions. She's a lot older, older than myself. And she's just like asks me question after question. And even Maharaj had said that she asks really nice questions. And sometimes when I'm in the temple, I can't help but think like, oh, I've got to chant, or I've got to do this and that. But I like to center myself and say, no, this is important for us to sit with people and listen to them and try to answer their questions. And, as I was thinking that, it's like she read my mind. She was like, I know you have a lot to do, but, you sitting here like really helps me to understand and really want to like practice. And so she's gotten to meet like a lot of the Maharaj's disciples here. And it's been a highlight of my week besides Maharaj's Vyasapuj. So anyways.
When people ask me, why do you chant the same words? I say, which words? Do you know the mantra yet? They say, I don't know. Well, that's why we keep chanting until you learn this one. Let's learn it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Now what's the whole mantra? Together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. So once you learn that, we'll teach you some other mantras. That's the first one.
Sankirtan Yagya ki jai. Jai Keshava Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so like Krishna Bhagavan said, we went to Whole Foods and Sunfresh. At Sunfresh, immediately we got out of the car, and there was a lady in her car next to us, and there was also some other ladies approaching their car on the other side. Krishna Bhagavan took one, and then I took the other. And the lady that I distributed a book to, she was an English teacher. And I don't usually ask people, do you like to read? Because they could say no, and that's just the end. So anyway, but I asked her that this time. She's like, I'm an English teacher. And so she was interested in the book, and I was like, this is a book on spiritual science, and she took Science of Self-Discovery, and that was it.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.